None more Nordic.
Also, this movie is pretty good.
It is actually really.
I think it's excellent.
Okay, I have that. I'm gonna do the topic that is probably gonna start the yelling on this one because I compared this against the Christopher Nolan's version of it, right?
Wait, and did you watch that like within?
Yes,
I've had this movie forever. Like I bought this movie like after the first time I saw it.
That's great.
I wanted to see the Nolan remake, and I just haven't gotten to it, but I intend to.
No,
I saw this one first, and then within a week, I watched the Nolan one.
Nolan did a pretty faithful remake of it, but he does. I'm going to say in some places he did a better job, I think. And I'm going to tell you why, because he explains, and it needs explanation, the insomnia effect on the main character as it progresses. Because when you get Stellan Skarsgård, he just looks more and more upset and dyspeptic and pissed off as it goes along until he starts
closes his eyes driving. You get
he does. Well, that's the only really big hint you get that you guys aren't getting enough sleep, even though they got the idea.
Cutting back to the hotel room over and over again with like the light and trying to tape the thing down.
I think they got the point across in the Nolan film a lot better in a couple of different scenes. One where it says, well, we talked to this kid, we need to talk to this other kid, let's get a hold of his house. And then we looked at him like he was insane and said, it's 10:30 at night. And there's no scenes like that here. And there's a couple others like that.
I think Stellan kind of wears the whole thing on his face,
right?
Though, like aggressively the whole time.
Both movies this week are face acting movies.
Yeah.
Now these are 100% like this movie is entirely based on a full frame of the character looking sad, angry, depressed, whatever. Like,
and I've rarely seen
all those Norwegian emotions. Yes, all of them. He expressed them all. Yes. Anyway, the second part.
No, he didn't express metal.
No,
like
he didn't. No,
you missed the metal.
No, there was very little of that. But the second part,
he did get blue steel in there, though.
The second part of my argument
was the fucking last shot.
Okay. Anyway, the second part of this, I'm going to. I'm going to talk about the endings, but we'll get there in a second. The second part I wanted to. This is more of a question. I think that you didn't get the feeling of insomnia like affecting the character as well in this as you did in the Nolan remake because this was for a Norwegian audience and they kind of know what's going on.
Right.
Yeah. And that's the thing, it's a cultural thing. I think that
so it would have been overkill for them to say, he's feeling really tired now.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, and also Skarsgård's character is Swedish. He's also aware of this. Like he checks his watch repeatedly during the movie because he is a little disconnected from time because of it. Like it's just one of those things where it's like it's more culturally understood there.
Yeah, that's the thing.
But I also think that's if you look at it a different way, that's perhaps the difference. It's a difference between American film and foreign film too, though. It's like American film wants to fucking hammer everything home so that you make sure the audience gets it now.
Yeah.
And European film is like, they'll get it. We believe in you. You're smart. Like it's cool.
Well, then they're washing through a sensibility of somebody who's from a temperate area, not an Arctic area. You know what I'm saying?
I think that Skarsgård, like this kind of performance is so nuanced and like Tad said, it's all in the face. Watching this again was so fun because I've never seen someone, first of all, look so handsome yet so fucking haggard, and like he's amazing with like minimal reactions. The way he moves his body, the way he gesticulates his like eyebrows or his mouth, it said volumes to me when I was watching it.
Well, and you can see why he became a movie star outside of Scandinavia after this. It's like, oh my God, this guy puts it all on screen.
Yeah.
But since Scott opened the door, I want to talk about the things that I think the Nolan version fails at or does worse than this. And
most of it.
There's a few.
Well, the first thing is the moral ambiguity of it. Like they
omitted the dog thing, right?
Well, he shoots the dog, but the dog's already dead.
Right.
In this one, the dog's not dead. He has to kill the dog.
Oh yeah.
And that's a moral. That's his third moral choice in the movie. The first one is to decide not to correct the police captain when he's saying, "Oh, the killer shot him."
Right.
And because he doesn't go into that to say, I didn't do this, he did, which Pacino's character absolutely does. Pacino's character is also set up with much more of an antagonistic relationship with his partner.
Yep.
And also, Pacino's character visibly sees his partner before he shoots him. Maybe. That's how it's implied in the movie.
Well, that fog is pretty pervasive.
In this, it's much more implied that it was a mistake.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
I like how even on the plane over, his partner is like sleeping on him.
Yeah. And he's like taking the pen out of his pocket, and he's like taking the they have an intimate relationship.
And even when the partner wakes up, he goes, "Hey, don't move, so I can use you as a pillow." Basically,
Right.
He's like, "You're moving too much. I'm trying to sleep here." So I love that.
Yeah, they have an intimate relationship that I think works really well because like you can kind of see him break when he kills him.
Yeah.
And then all of the moral choices that he makes after that flow from that, and they're not good in most situations. He's making the wrong moral choice.
This is not a good man.
But you can understand why. Like I never understood Pacino's
Stay out of
motivations.
jail. Stay out of jail.
Well, but Pacino's motivations in that movie were just I'm a bad guy, so I'm going to do bad things. And his motivation in this is I'm still trying to solve this. I'm still trying to get some sort of justice for this woman. But also, I'm trying not to get fucked on this thing that I did by mistake, and then didn't take ownership of afterwards.
Like I thought it was interesting. They really hung a lantern on his other choice with having the author character say it. He says, you could have just confessed what happened. There would have been a report filed, and you could have moved on. You'd be right here where you are now.
You would have taken a couple days off, and then you would have come back. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not sure how that works in Norway. They could have like put him in jail.
Well, so the one thing is that, and they do mention it in the movie, is that Swedish police officers carry guns and Norwegian police officers don't. So he shouldn't really have had that Beretta out there with him. And
he smuggles it in his luggage, right?
Yeah, smuggle or whatever. But like,
we don't know.
Kind of not supposed to have that, and like that could have been a problem for him too. And then again, he has a history with sleeping with the witness in the case, which got him basically kicked out of Sweden.
Yeah.
Right.
I think when this movie came out, it was 97. Is that right?
Yeah.
97.
Yeah.
And I was really into all these, crime films, and, Tarantino was at his peak, and it was just like, it was so refreshing to see like a crime drama that was like the opposite of every single fucking American crime drama at the time. That it was just like a breath of fresh air. And it holds up, watching it now, I was like, this is still a wonderful movie. They don't shy away from things that are like him cutting open the dog.
Right.
And getting the bullet out. They don't shy away from showing nudity of, what are apparently teenagers, dead and alive. American films would never do this. Christopher Nolan did not do this. These are things that are European, but in my opinion, make a more impactful, dramatic film.
Yeah, and again, the moral ambiguity of the character, I think, really, really helps. Like, he's not a bad guy at the beginning, and he becomes a bad guy as the movie goes on, and then at the end, he doesn't get punished for it.
Which is different from the Nolan film.
Absolutely.
That's significant.
I was interested to know because I figured they changed the ending.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Spoiler alert.
The European thing about this was the ending.
They changed the ending. It's just like in The Vanishing, how much they fucked that ending.
Right.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yes.
This movie reminded me of The Vanishing at times, particularly the relationship between the killer, like the sort of the back and forth between those guys, the sort of laconic. I don't know what's the word, laconic, like it was but he's just a guy with some serious fucking screws loose. But it would take you a while talking to him to figure that out.
Yeah, he's detached.
By the time they meet, they've both become murderers or killers.
Yeah.
And so it's weird and dark, and they're sharing something.
Yeah, the scene on the gondola, man, is just so great because it's like finally, the antagonist and the protagonist meet, and they're just like, blank. You know, they just have
Yeah.
to stand there.
58 minutes into this hour-and-a-half long movie too. Like that's what I think is great too. It's like, no, their entire relationship takes place in 25 minutes of this film.
And it is bottled up too. They can't something they can't get out of.
Yeah.
There's really good visual storytelling going on here too. When he goes to that place, when he first sees the guy pass in the bus, you know, not a lesser filmmaker wouldn't have been able to make that work, where he kind of just sits there a little defeated for a while, and he's looking around at like just people in the world kind of
that
watching.
It was really good.
And they're all staring at him because he's been on TV a bunch recently.
Right.
So they're like, that's that cop.
And And then of course the bus goes by and it's the killer, and he's never seen the killer, never met him, but he just knows. It just like that. And also, you know, some of the ending where it's a little bit of, you know, they're going to those remote locations. There's just a lot of good camera work and visual storytelling that really brought this film up too.
Yeah. Can I, since we're just talking about that scene, he starts running after the bus, and I loved that scene where blue, he hits that car.
Yeah.
And, you know, we've seen stuff like that in other movies, but he immediately just commandeers the car, and then
he's like, I'm a cop.
Right.
And the driver of the car is like, yeah, let's do this thing. That sounds like fun.
But even
the happiest anybody ever looked in that movie is that guy.
Yeah, and then he's stuck in the car with him when the blood starts coming down the side of his face, and it's just like,
well, the cut to the shattered windshield that they have to look through is great. And then like
that was a well put together sequence.
But can we also talk about Stellan's performance? You know, when he goes down, I mean, that he's just dead for like a second, right?
He looks dead. Yeah.
And then when the guy comes over, I mean, it's just some of the best acting I've ever seen. Like he comes out of it.
It's great.
He fell asleep.
It's so subtle.
He hit the ground and he fell asleep.
Yeah, he was like,
and then he got
passed
woken
out.
up from his sleep.
Yeah.
Exactly. He's that tired.
I've done that. I've literally been like sitting in my chair at work and just gone.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you're wired in that second when you wake up, when you're that tired. It's just like I can run a marathon right now because I just got all of the adrenaline through me from being woken up. You know, like I get that.
Yeah.
So that was one of my favorite things I've seen in quite a while.
I think my favorite was when he finally breaks down and shows some affect when he tries to, like, I don't know, rape or
whatever happens in the kitten scene.
Feel up the girl.
Yeah, the girl in the hotel.
Again, it's kind of like when he came in to talk about the shooting. I don't think he went in there to rape anyone.
Yeah.
No, well, and she's into
it in the
making out with him at the beginning, and then he gets so aggressive.
No, there's quite a while where she's into it, but then he goes too far. Yeah.
He like blows it twice. He blows it with the high school girl, and he blows it with the hotel clerk.
Yeah.
This scene here that I have, where it's just keeps cutting back to him behind the door.
Oh man.
Yeah.
As the boyfriend and the other girl,
the best friend.
And
then the last cut, he's not there. Fucking brilliant.
Yeah, that was so good.
Like,
that was so good.
They didn't show him leave. They didn't show anything. It's just a cut, and he's not there.
Yeah,
perfect.
It's good filmmaking, man.
Yes.
I have a criticism, I guess, or at least it was something that occurred to me, and that is the high school characters, the boyfriend, and the dead girl. We don't really meet her, but the other girl. They look too old to be in high school, but that's common in films. But they also didn't seem to have. They had no families. It seemed like they're completely autonomous beings, and they were supposed to be teenage kids, and it's like there was no mention of their family.
They do that a lot in movies. It's weird. Yeah.
No, there were Norwegian kids. They're being raised by the state.
Yeah, it's a socialist.
Well, their parents are probably related to the fishing and fish packing industry there. So dad's probably out on a boat, and mom's out, like, because if the catch is coming in, you're working 16, 18-hour days to do the canning and stuff like that.
And I remember, we can all remember this, like, on one hand, I agree with you, John. That is something that's sort of like a unwritten trope that happens in movies about teenagers sometimes. Which is unrealistic, and I hate it. But at the same time, like, remember back when we were all teenagers, or just looking at teenagers, like, you want wanted to not be around adults as much as possible. Like you wanted to like, you would like program your day or your life around like trying to be not around your parents, not around any other adults. And so maybe there's something there. I don't know.
When I was 17, my parents took a 2-month drive around the country and they left me alone at home. I had a job, I had a car, it was summer vacation, and I lived by myself for 2 months while they were gone. And it was rad. It was so fucking awesome.
And then the emotional damage began.
This explains so much.
Well, no, that was when I got hit by a car, which also happened.
But you know, I'm a Gen X kid. You know, I saw my parents on the weekends. You know, that's not how it works.
Yeah, exactly.
I describe my parenting as benign neglect.
Yeah, exactly. Same here.
Yeah, like,
but it wasn't bad though. You made great. You know, you get your friends. It was a lot of fun. You know, yeah.
On the weekends, I would grab my skateboard out of the house at 10 a.m. back at 10 p.m. That was, you know,
before 10. That was the only rule.
Yeah.
Yep.
I didn't have that rule.
I like this movie. I was raised by a grandmother.
I like this movie. There were choices that were made at times that kind of got on my nerves. I mean, I could not loathe the last shot more.
Oh, the eyes, yeah,
that was pretty silly.
Like, what the fuck? Like,
I didn't like that. Like, I didn't like that the first time.
Someone else finished the movie.
No, well, Michael Jackson finished it, right?
It seems to be in the wrong film.
Just the wrong movie. Like there were, and the thing is, I wish I'd written this down. There were little things that would happen here and there where it felt like I don't know, the guy that made this movie was like taking a leak or something, and somebody else stepped in for 5 minutes because it was like tonally just off and felt cheap. Like just sprinkled throughout this movie were like 4 or 5 moments where I was like, whoa, you just popped the balloon on the mood this movie was setting.
The friend falling down in the trash.
Just
yeah.
Like just weird shit like that.
That didn't need to happen because we understand where she is emotionally.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I'm gonna have a pratfall in this trash, which is
kind
of cool because it happens live on screen, and like, hey, I appreciate you doing that, but like but no, for the tone of the movie, it does not work.
And then I don't know, I don't, maybe Scott, I didn't buy the policewoman at the end letting him off that.
But that's common between both versions of this film.
It is.
Yeah, and
I forgot that part.
Actually, that seemed plausible to me. I mean,
I think it's more that she realized what happened.
Right.
Like she's like, this was a mistake. Like you didn't mean to do this, and you caught this guy.
Yeah.
And even when
everybody's happy.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, she's like, the case is fucking closed. What am I gonna like?
Happy. Oh, you lived up to the hype.
Again, just going back to the Nolan versus this one. In the Nolan version, Hilary Swank does this because she has this weird admiration of this cowboy from LA who came in to solve.
Yeah, she's got a crush on him.
She's got a crush on him. In this one, it's more like, you're a sinner, I'm a sinner, we're all sinners, here you go.
Yeah, she kind of
very Norwegian, which
I guess.
She kind of more embodies the person who runs the hotel in the Nolan version, who has that line about how there's two kinds of people in Alaska, and there's people who are born there and people who are running from something. And I wasn't born here. Like she's a little bit more of that character in this than the actual hotel woman is.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. I mean, like other than that, I mean, it's
no, I like the film quite a bit.
And all the locations were amazing. Like just the whole sequences in the fog were so gorgeous.
Yeah. One of the greatest movies I've ever seen.
Yeah, it was really good. It's just I'll ascribe any weirdness to it as half of it it was fairly low budget.
That's what I figured.
Yeah, and the other half is there's Norwegian stuff going on. We can't even grasp. There's in jokes in this film that are flying above your head every 3 or 4 minutes. We do not understand them, and we're not supposed to understand them, and that's just fine.
The Norma ammunition. The Norma ammunition.
As good as Stellan's career took off.
The Swedish Norwegian jokes in this are really good.
Oh, they are.
Yeah, they are. They're good.
This director did Prozac Nation and then went back to Norway. Like he just fuck it, I don't need to do it.
Yeah, I made my Hollywood movie. I'm done.
Well, I wouldn't even describe that as a Hollywood movie, but yeah, he did not turn this into something else. I guess he's working. He just doesn't seem to be working in America.
He really knows how to there's so many scenes where he's like not asleep, or where he wasn't taking a piss and letting someone else do it. Like the scene in the car with the teenage girl, that was fucking so brilliantly done.
Yeah, that was
the pacing and
weird.
the way
trick shots. The driving stuff is really well done. He knows where to put the camera every time, which is really not an easy thing to do.
And he knows how to create atmosphere, both in interiors and exteriors. Like the trash heap, the dump was just, I mean, it looked visually amazing. Like what, and it's a dump.
Yeah.
Well, because you have the dam wall behind it, and then when it turns to the other side, you have the catch nets to stop the birds from coming in.
That was cool.
So it's always visually interesting. Wherever you're looking in those scenes, what's happening behind it is visually interesting.
But he ramped that up, like when he's being intimate with her, and then he starts, the car speeds up and it becomes frantic suddenly. It was so good.
There's a lot of good car shit in this movie. There's a lot of like that was red, no it was green, no it was red, I don't remember. Like,
well, that's the first inkling you get that he's a lawbreaker.
Every time he pulls in somewhere, he just screeches to a halt.
Yeah.
Like he's going 30 into that parking space and then he just slams on the brakes.
No, he's not a good car renter. That's all.
There's a scene when he's driving in the parking garage. It comes out of another scene, and then he's just in the car, and he takes so many turns in that parking garage. It was like he was in hell.
Which might have been a metaphor, Round
and round. It was going through a maze.
I want to point out one point that kind of I could feel like could take you out of the movie, but I actually really liked, and I somehow didn't remember it from the couple of times I've seen this before, when they're doing the recreation back at the cove, and he says he wasn't on his back, he was on his front.
They had the dummy there.
And they go over to pick up the dummy, and the arm falls off.
That was fun.
That was funny.
It's hysterical, and I think it really works with the movie. Like I think it's there. They need that moment of like, here's something else for 1 second. Like,
well, and the moment that like these are real people and they're just trying to do their job. Yeah.
Like these cops are dumb. Like, fuck, we fucked it up.
Yeah. And I love how the cop takes the picture like right in his ear. Like right on his, he's like, what the fuck, man?